the most dangerous way to lose weight. When you mimic starvation by doing a fast, you trigger different genes that not only help you lose weight and burn fat, but also contribute to living longer. You'll have better cardiovascular health, improved blood sugar levels, and more. However, my question is, when we had famines in the past and adapted to them through these genetic changes, didn't we also experience droughts? If that's true, don't we also have genes that protect us against dehydration? I looked it up, and the answer is absolutely yes. There are over 50 different genes that protect us from dehydration and also provide various health benefits, including a decreased risk of cancer and other health issues. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Wow, dehydration is dangerous, and we need water because by the time we're thirsty, it's too late. We're already dehydrated. Have you ever heard that? Well, I stumbled upon an amazing study that I want to share with you. It was about little birds that can fly across the desert without water and still survive. In the study, there were 3 groups. The first group was fed food and water. The second group was given food but no water. And the third group was given no food and no water. This is called dry fasting. The results blew me away. The dry fasting group generated 6 times more water than the group that only drank water. The dry fasting group also burned more fat. When fat is burned with oxygen from the air, the chemistry of it turns it into water. This shows how we can potentially use dry fasting to our benefit. For example, 12 hours of dry fasting for 30 days has been shown to provide many health benefits with very few, if any, side effects. Now, when I talk about short-term dry fasting, I'm only referring to 12-hour fasts, maybe up to 20 hours to start. I'm not talking about long-term dry fasting. But first, I want to tell you where this whole water thing came from, this idea that we need to drink water constantly. It was actually part of a campaign developed when the government partnered with certain corporations, promoting the drink up message. The goal was to convince us to stop drinking tap water and switch to bottled water. Companies that sell bottled water were behind this campaign, and they essentially brainwashed, or should I say, educated us into believing we need to drink more water to avoid dehydration. If dehydration is the most dangerous thing, then logically, we should never go without food either. We should probably eat every hour to stay nourished. But what's interesting is that the top 3 bottled water companies, Nestle, Coke, and Pepsi, are also the same companies that sell ultra-processed foods, sodas, and energy drinks loaded with sugar. In other words, they control markets on both sides, the healthy water side and the junk food side. So listen, I'm not against water. Just drink when you're thirsty, but you may want to consider dry fasting as an extra tool to use when needed. Let's dive into the details of this. There are some rules to follow. First, you want to take it slow. Don't jump into fasting right away. You need to first adapt to fat burning. Start with a lower carb diet for a while to make it easier on yourself. This will prepare your body for fasting and shift it over to burning more fat. Then, when you transition into fasting, it becomes much easier. You won't have cravings, your hunger will decrease, and it makes fasting more doable. Water fasting versus dry fasting. If you're doing fasting, always start with water fasting before transitioning to dry fasting. With water fasting, you're still consuming supplements like electrolytes, B vitamins, and sea salt. With dry fasting, you're not consuming any electrolytes, pills, or even drinking coffee or water. During dry fasting, your body starts to adapt and will hold on to salt and water as much as it can due to the shift in hormones. But I'm telling you, a lot of people have never reached a point where their body is actually making its own water. Once you adapt, you can gradually transition into dry fasting on a very small scale. Even starting small can produce massive results. Why? Because 1 day of dry fasting is equal to 3 days of water fasting. Tips for doing dry fasting. Here are some tips. Stay in a cool environment. Don't make the mistake I did by spending too much time outside sweating. You don't want to do that because it will dehydrate you even more. I did fine, but I could tell it was too much stress on my body. When you're dry fasting, your digestion is turned off and your kidneys don't have to work as hard. All of the resources your body has can now be redirected to repair, healing, and regeneration. So you don't want to add high-intensity exercise during this time. You can walk, but avoid sweating and doing any intense outdoor work that would increase dehydration. Trust me, I made that mistake, so don't do it. How to end a fast. When you end a longer fast and refeed, start by consuming liquids, just a little bit at a time. Try around 8 ounces every 4 hours on the first day, and the same for the second and third days. This is more for longer fasts, but it's important to gradually introduce food back into your system. Here, a type of fermented dairy is great to help fortify your gut, and bone broth is also excellent. This is all for today, but let me tell you, this video is just to give you another tool to potentially help you lose more weight by putting your body in a state where it can only get water from fat, forcing it to burn more fat. If you like this video, do comment below and subscribe the channel.